Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the DC Collectibles Arrow Dark Archer. This is number 5, and down below it says, warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years of age. Again, this is part of the Arrow line of figures. I found this at a local comic book store and wanted to pick it up, as I've yet to review really any of the Green Arrow or Arrow figures. It is packaged in pretty much the same sort of packaging that we're seeing with all of DC Collectibles. This open window kind of rectangular box, and I do like that. The side of the package features the Dark Archer. Now that's actually a picture of the figure, not the character itself. And on the back, the other figures consist of Oliver Queen, Deathstroke, interesting enough, Canary, Arrow, Dark Archer, and Deadshot. It is sculpted by the folks over at Gentle Giants Studio, and you can also watch Arrow over at the CW. Or for us, I just watch it on, it's on regular TV as well. That being said, Spot's going to take a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Dark Archer. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. The contents that will come included with the Dark Archer is one standalone arrow. The arrow is, once again, that kind of plastic that I get a little iffy, cringy about because it's so frail and fragile that you would want to be extremely careful when putting this into the hand of Dark Archer. A little more durable, he also does come included with his bow. And we've got kind of a cord, elastic cord on the end as opposed to it being plastic, which is a nice touch. I do certainly appreciate that. Again, both pieces can be housed in Dark Archer's hands, though again, you have to be extremely careful. Maybe not so much with the arrow or with the bow itself, but do be very careful with the arrow. And the bow, I keep wanting to call it the arrow, the bow fits right into his hand, giving you something that looks like this. It was just easier for me to do it off camera as opposed to trying to fidget it in there. But you can get a pretty successful look of him holding the arrow with his one hand, and you can make it look almost as if he is drawing it from his bow. It's not quite perfect, but again, it's pretty good though from a posing standpoint to have it look as if he is going to be firing the arrow. I would just very carefully take the arrow out of his hand. Take the bow also out, just put that to the side. As for the costume, a little more scaled down, I think, in coloring versus, Arrow. Still has the quiver on the back, has the additional arrows at the top, none of which can be removed. Nor, it looked almost as if when you first got it out of packaging, it looked like you could almost fit it, and it's a shame that they didn't allot for a little bit of wiggle room that you could have actually fit the arrow into the quiver. It looks like it's slotted like it might be able to, but it's just not quite right there. Unless, again, you could kind of have it look as if Dark Archer's pulling out the arrow, but, again, it's going to be sticking out a little bit more. Dark Archer also has, let's just pull this out here, be careful. Dark Archer also has the Cloak and Hood. Again, I'm not as impressed with the Dark Archer. Just, the design is faithful, but, it just doesn't have the oomph, that some of the other Arrow figures, I should say, have. He's got a guard on the one arm here. And again, just the rest of it is more robe. He's got some straps going on there as well. One strap to hold the quiver, and then one strap just more so a belt area. Where the design for me is not as impressive as, say, some of the other Arrow figures, articulation, though, on all these pieces is fantastic. And much like the Flash that we had a look at before, Dark Archer utilizes some fantastic articulation, scaled up from what we used to see from the likes of DC Direct before they became DC Collectibles. The head is a little more limited just because the hood that is over top of the head doesn't really allow for a lot of movement, especially when you factor in the higher collar on this jacket. There is hinged sockets on the shoulders. There is a hinged swivel on the forearm where you can rotate the arm and also bend at the elbow. And also you can rotate at the wrist. There is not really much in the way of a waist swivel because, again, all of it is just hid by this rubbery overlay. This is actually a rubber additional piece that they put over top. You can even feel it when you squeeze it here. It does have a more rubbery, you can feel like there's something underneath it, but sadly it means that it really limits all the articulation that you would expect to probably find underneath. Legs do hinge, or do move out slightly, and because it is rubbery, it does give you a little extra wiggle room, not by much though. Where he does benefit though is the double bend in the knees, and then finally a nice pivot and hinge in the foot. Dark Archer's a decent figure. It just doesn't have, again, a lot of the oomph, a lot of the wow factor that some of the other Arrow figures have. Still though, you're a big fan of Arrow and you like the series, you might want to pick this guy up. Probably not be the first figure that you're going to pick up, but likely if you have the other figures, this guy is a good accompanying piece. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the DC Collectibles. We're having a look at Arrow, the Dark Archer. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.